Florida has arrived, so let's make sure to cheer him as he comes.
Hey there. You don't need your ticket.
Thank you.
I love your shirt.
Thank you so much.
Pick a free sign. You get a free sign. You don't need your ticket.
Grab a sign.
Okay.
7:40.
Not, okay. What's this one?
Law enforcement.
No, I'll take this one. I'll take this one.
There's regular ones. Yeah.
This one's fine. Thank you.
Clear with the long hair and the sunglasses on his head.
He's okay.
It's definitely by TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next governor of the state of Florida, Ron DeSantis!
I'm excited to win tomorrow. Being here, I introduce her for the. It's my honor to introduce our candidate for Agriculture Commissioner, who is a. Excuse me. So who's excited to get out and vote tomorrow and win? It's my honor to introduce our next Agriculture Commissioner of the state of Florida, a colleague of mine, Representative Matt Caldwell.
Give it up for Chris LaValle here. Are you guys ready to work hard tomorrow? One more day. One more day. We are going to do it exactly right. Exactly right. I can't tell you how blessed I am to be on a ticket with such an amazing group of people. How about your hometown Tampa Bay's Ashley Moody? We got Jimmy Petronas for CFO and a great ticket. Ron DeSantis and Jeanette Nuñez are going to make an awesome duo in governor and lieutenant governor. Let me tell you why it's so important to me. I'm running for Commissioner of Agriculture, and that is an important position. Agriculture is the #2 industry in the state, but it's even more than that. It's all the dirty jobs that make this state work. Oil changes, auto repair, amusement parks, up and down the ticket, blue-collar jobs are what jobs about. But I can't do that if I got a partner that wants to jack taxes up 40%, can I? That's exactly right. If I get Andrew Gillum as governor, my job becomes harder every single day. That's why I've got to have Ron DeSantis as the governor of the state of Florida. You know what else I've got to make sure of? I've got to make sure that we've got the healthiest environment in this state. And we've worked hard the last 8 years in the legislature, but I can tell you without a doubt, Ron DeSantis will get up every single day and fight for our environment here in the state of Florida and work with me to get that done. I'm going to ask you one thing here before I get off and introduce the next person. You look in your phone when you leave here today, you look at 10 names, 7 of those people are not going to vote if you don't ask them to. If you don't call them when you leave here, say, you've got to vote tomorrow, not just because it's important to me and not just because it's important to you, it's important to your kids and your grandkids and the future of this state. The success we built the last 8 years, the success that our President Trump has built the last 2 years, we will lose that if you don't get those people out there and make sure they vote tomorrow. Now, the next person I'm going to introduce here, I can't wait to serve with in Tallahassee. It's a little interesting. I'm running for Ag Commissioner. She's running for Attorney General. So we were comparing notes the other day. If you don't know, she was the strawberry queen in Plant City when she was in high school. Now, I have had the opportunity, I've testified in court a bunch, been an expert witness in federal and state courts. So we figured out, we're pretty sure, I have been in a courtroom more often than her opponent. And she's got more ag experience than my opponent. We are ready to do this job on day one. Ashley Moody, your next Attorney General.
Hello, how are you? So great to be in Pinellas County in the Bay Area. You know, I was a prosecutor here. I've served as a judge over a decade, and this is my last event for the day. My colleagues watching here in the Bay Area where I'm from. It's such an honor. Thank you for being here and honoring us with your presence. Let me tell you, experience and perspective are going to win the day tomorrow. And let me tell you, Ron DeSantis and I have a lot in common. We've both been prosecutors. We've both been endorsed by over 50 sheriffs across the state of Florida. And we've both worked with the FBI to successfully prosecute cases and criminals. Unlike some other people who have a different kind of relationship with the FBI. This is an important day tomorrow. We're here to encourage you to tell every one of your friends and families to get out and vote. It's so very important. A lot of people, you've heard a lot of politicians talking about bringing it home, right? Let me tell you what our ticket's gonna do. We're gonna wake up every day in office with heart, grit, and determination and figure out how we keep building that home and how we pay for that home, and most importantly, how we defend and protect that home. Ron DeSantis is gonna be a great governor. We're gonna lead this state. We're gonna make you proud. Give us that opportunity. Thank you so much for being here. I want to introduce you to your next First Lady of the state of Florida. Somebody has just as much heart and wit as she does style. Casey DeSantis.
How about Ashley and Matt? It's going to be awesome to see them in Tallahassee. They're going to do a phenomenal job. How y'all doing? Are you ready to win this thing? How many of you have you voted? Who's voted? All right, how many of you have yet to vote? How many of you are going to go find 3 people who haven't voted yet and bring them to the polls and make sure they're turning out? How many people want to see Ron DeSantis as the next governor of Florida? Listen. He's a good man. He's doing it for the right reasons. And I can tell you that not just because I'm the wife, okay? People say, of course, they're going to go up here and say wonderful things about your husband. It's in your contract, right? No, not the case. He's doing it, and I would be up here whether I'm married to him or not, because I've had the opportunity to see what kind of man he is. And he is a man of integrity, of character, of values, of morals. I am so proud that he put himself into the arena of ideas. Right? When you put yourself out there, it has to take guts and courage, and he has that. And he is a good man. And I'll tell you what, I am excited for Tuesday because I know we're going to turn out, and it's going to come down to Election Day, and I know we're going to do this thing. He has always had a servant's heart. I've seen that when he served in the United States Congress. This is a guy, when he first got elected, he wanted to lead by example. So what did he do? He declined his congressional pension because he didn't think it just that the American taxpayers were paying for pensions for members of Congress. So he declined it. He declined the subsidized health care because he said, you know what, members of Congress shouldn't be getting subsidized health care from the American people when they're paying for it, when they're losing their doctors and their plans. He's a man who leads by example. And one of the things quickly about him that really is very special to me in his resume, when you see it, this is a guy who worked his way through Yale University, parked cars, and he was videotaping his baseball coach's wedding. He could have done a lot when he graduated, but he decided to serve in the United States Navy because it was the right thing to do. He wanted to give to the country that had given him so much, and that is opportunity. And he will continue to fight for you, for your family, for my children, my 2 kids, which are now 7 and 23 months. He's getting a little crazy on the campaign trail. I'm not going to lie. 2 kids under the age of 2 and a husband running in the 3rd largest state in the country. I'll tell you what, but we're almost there. I'm excited for Tuesday. It's going to come down to Election Day, and it's going to come out to Republicans getting out and voting and people learning about Ron and his mission and his message. But I want to introduce you to somebody before we get to Ron, somebody who's very special, who's a beautiful person on the inside and out, who I've had the honor and the privilege to get to know over the last few weeks, who is a woman who is a mother to 3 children, who is a wife, who is an exquisite legislator, who's very effective, who knows her way around Tallahassee, who's smart. And she's also been somebody really who is principled. And, you know, Ron had a decision to make when he was the nominee for governor, when he won the Republican nomination, was who was going to be his running mate. And he couldn't have done a better job with Jeanette Nuñez. And it is my honor to introduce you to the next Lieutenant Governor of the great state of Florida, Jeanette Nuñez.
afternoon, Pinellas. Let's hear it for our amazing First Lady. I am so proud to be here and share the stage with these wonderful individuals that make up our Republican ticket for statewide office, Matt Caldwell and Ashley Moody. And I know Jimmy Patronis is out there campaigning too, and Governor Scott for our next U.S. Senator. Thank you again for being here. For the past 8 years, I've been fighting with people like Representative Latvala to make sure we keep your taxes low and regulation out of business. Absolutely. And we're so excited because you know what? Come tomorrow, you all are the ones that are going to propel us to victory, because we know that victory runs right through here in Pinellas County. I am so honored to stand alongside a man like Ron DeSantis, someone who is a veteran. And for those of you in the audience that have served, thank you, thank you, thank you. You heard Casey talk about Ron, her husband. He's a man of principle, a man of conviction, someone that's going to make sure to protect your interests every single day in Tallahassee. We are going to fight for lower taxes, to protect your educational opportunities, to make sure we take care of the environment, because you all know a thing or two about the environment. So we're going to do that. We're going to protect our environment for future Floridians and their generations to come. But most importantly, we're going to make sure to keep this state safe. We know what it takes. We understand that you have to support the men and women in law enforcement that serve and protect, the heroes that serve and protect us every single day. Our opponent, as you all know, has a terrible track record. He has not been able to keep the city of Tallahassee safe, and he won't be able to keep the state of Florida safe. So that's why we're counting on you, because we have about 24 hours. 24 hours to say yes to lower taxes in Ron DeSantis, to say yes to public safety and law and order in Ron DeSantis, and to say yes to a brighter future for all Floridians. And no to mobs, that's right. Speaking of law and order, I have the privilege of introducing someone that knows a little something about that. She is someone that has fought for us every single day the past 8 years. She has made sure to protect us from pill mills, human traffickers, drug dealers. She is our wonderful Attorney General, Pam Bondi. And your neighbors and everyone you know to go vote tomorrow? That's how we're going to win this. And I have loved being your Attorney General for 8 years. Well, and I love Ashley Moody. And she's going to be the best Attorney General this state's ever had. So get out there and vote. And Matt Caldwell and our Lieutenant Governor, my dear friend for many years, Jeanette Nuñez, and Casey DeSantis. What a first lady, huh? And President Trump and Rick Scott send their best to you right now. And we've got to get Rick elected to the Senate. We know how important that is. And Ron DeSantis is going to carry on everything that Rick has done for this state. All the great things, the jobs, the lower taxes, and he's going to tell you all about that. And he is just going to be an incredible governor. And you're going to get to hear from my friend in a minute, but I don't get to introduce her. But she's one of my favorite people in the world, and her first name's Lara. But I am very blessed to introduce a senator who has fought for us throughout, unlike one of the senators. Marco has fought for us in D.C. We worked together when he was in the State House. And then he became a U.S. Senator and has fought for us and fought for our country. And he cares so deeply about this election, too, and he's just a good man. It's my honor to introduce Marco Rubio.
She has a great future. I know she's not done serving us yet. We'll see what God's plan is. Hey, guys, thank you so much for being here. Well, and I'm here because I am proud to support the people we're supporting, but I'm also here because I love this incredible state. I love this place. I was here 8 years ago. I want to ask you a question. What's more American than steak and motorcycles? This place is awesome. But listen, every election is really important. I don't think I have to convince anybody here who to vote for. In fact, I bet you a lot of you have already voted, right? But I bet you know people that haven't. So I remember that about, 2 years ago around this time, and everybody assumed like Florida was lost, Trump couldn't win Florida. You remember it was like, 2 years ago that we had to go through that. And I remember that night, and I was watching the newscast, about 7 p.m. the news comes on, and they're all like peacocks, tonight history will be made, blah, 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 blah. It's all good. 10 o'clock comes around, it's like, wow, there's been some anomalies, but don't worry, California's not in, and, all these other states. About 12 midnight, it's like, people are starting to wipe their face a little bit, and 2 a.m., they're bringing in grief counselors. About 4 a.m., they're going live on the air with bourbon and whiskey on the dais. So anyway, it was an incredible night. But let me tell you why that night was here in Florida. It was possible, thank you, warehouse, box, store, pricing. Buy your mattress from them because they're voting for us. All right, so I lost my train of thought. These hecklers stop at nothing. They will not stop us. But listen, so all these elections are so important, but this one will be decided like that, right? Close race in Florida, except on Election Day. On Election Day of 2016, not just Republicans, common sense Floridians did an extraordinary thing, and they came out and voted in numbers that blew everyone away. That's why all the exit polls were wrong, and all the sort of psychosis took order in all these studios in Manhattan because they didn't believe it. They thought this thing was over before it even happened. And that's what's going to happen again. That's what's going to happen again. You feel it. But we got to go do it. We have to go do it. That means even if you've already voted, you know people that haven't voted, and they listen to you. And they're not going to vote unless you know who they are. You know who they are, that person with a lot of opinions, they care about this stuff, but they don't vote. On Election Day, they don't go vote. As if screaming at the TV is going to change anything. It's not. Trust me, the Dolphins would be undefeated if it would change anything. It's not going to change anything. What's going to change anything is the vote. And the most important thing that you can do if you want to make a difference in this election for Ron DeSantis, for Ashley Moody, for Matt Caldwell, for Jimmy Petronis, and for, by the way, we need a Senate that's in Republican hands. All this progress we've made the last 2 years. You like the Supreme Court having people that believe the Constitution is supposed to be applied, not reinterpreted? So we need Rick Scott in the U.S. Senate. But none of that happens if you don't get your friends and your family and the people you love, and even some of the people you don't love, out to vote. You have to do it. Because this governor's race is so clear, the difference is so massive. And there's a lot of people left to speak. You need to hear from Ron DeSantis, because the next time you see him, he'll be the governor. But let me point one, something just happened. This is a true story. I'm not even making this up. This really happened, okay? About 2.5 hours ago, the governor of another state, Governor of Maine, retiring, he's served out his term, does a press conference. And at the press conference, at the end, it's kind of a farewell press conference of the state. He announces, by the way, I'm moving to Florida. Why? Is he coming here because the taxes are high? No. Is he coming here because government runs health care and lives and tells our parents where they send their kids to school? No. But he's not alone. I was in Illinois last week. I gave a speech. I said, it's great to be here with so many future Floridians. Everybody I met there told me their mom lived in Boca and they were coming to move here. And so there's a reason why people move here. And part of it is we've done the right thing for the last 2 decades. But another part is these other states have done the wrong things. You know what they've done? What Andrew Gillum wants to do to Florida. To raise taxes, to take parental choice away. Why? Let me just ask you, why? Brexit. Why in the world would we adopt the policies of places that people are abandoning? We can't and we won't. And that's what this election has to be about. It's such a clear choice. Let me ask you, what is more important for a state government, as an example, and you just heard from Pam Bondi, than to keep you safe, keep our families safe? And there's a reason why every major law enforcement entity in this state, every major law enforcement organization has spoken out about who they support, and his name is Ron DeSantis. Because Ron DeSantis understands what you understand, and what the overwhelming majority of people who are not on cable TV understand. And that is that our men and women who wear the uniform of law enforcement are among our bravest. They deserve our endless thanks. If tonight we get in trouble, something bad were to happen, they will show up, even though they have children, even though they have families. They will put their lives on the line. They will stand between you and danger, and Ron DeSantis will stand with them. The last 2 years we've made, I always tell people, I was in the Senate for 6 years before that. We've gotten more done in the last, not even 2 years, 22 months. Yeah. More has happened in 22 months than 6 years before that. And trust me, what happens at the state matters too. It matters a lot. What's the point if we cut taxes in Washington with President Trump and a Republican Congress if they raise it at the state? What's the point if we have people on the Supreme Court that are going to apply the Constitution according to its original intent if we have states that are going to undermine it? What's the point of protecting your right to choose the health care you want for your families if you live in a state that's going to turn around and take it away from you? What's the point of taking one step forward? We elect people at the state level that will take us 2 steps back. Instead, Ron DeSantis will take us 2 more steps forward. And that's why you need to vote. And that's why you need to get everybody else to vote. And that's why we need to elect the gentleman who's about to come up here, your next governor, Ron DeSantis.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Are we going to get a big vote out of Pinellas County tomorrow? It's great to, although when I grew up here, they did not have this. They didn't have wings this good, but it's great to be here. Look, my mission is very simple. We need to protect Florida's future for tomorrow, the next generation. We will build off the success we've had in this state, and I think we can be better than ever. If you look at our economy, our unemployment rate is like 3.7%, lowest African American unemployment ever recorded, lowest Hispanic unemployment ever recorded, and yet we are primed in Florida to attract record investment on top of that, I believe. So you're looking at manufacturing, technology, a whole bunch of good things with really good jobs. And guess what? When you have good policy, when you keep taxes low, when you drive investment into the state, you end up having more money to do things with lower tax rates like transportation, environment, education, all that other stuff. So to me, the formula is pretty simple. Andrew thinks, okay, Florida's doing good. What it needs is a 40% tax increase.
Lock him up!
Well, why would you do that? That will cost us jobs here. It'll cause businesses to leave Florida, and all the investment that could be coming into our state will stop. And so we'll be shooting ourselves in the foot. So we cannot go down that road. But here's the thing. The 40% tax increase, that's just what he's willing to admit to you that he's going to do.
Lock him up!
He's always supported higher taxes, sales, property, federal taxes. And if you look at all the things he's promised, there was a nonpartisan think tank that analyzed and calculated it. They said the only way you can pay for this, you either have to do a sales tax up to 38%, or you have to do an income tax in Florida. Those are the only 2 ways that you can actually make it work. Well, I can tell you this, that would totally deep six our economy. With me as governor, we're not having tax increases, and we'll never have an income tax, ever. Don't worry about that.
Lock him up!
You know, I think it's important to have a governor that's going to protect your constitutional rights and individual freedoms, and that includes our Second Amendment rights. Very important. Andrew not in favor of that at all. Very, very radical on that. But also, I think it's your right to be left alone from the government, not have government come in and micromanage your life. So, for example, Andrew supports this idea of Bernie Sanders to take over healthcare, Medicare for all. And if you think about it, what it does, they say Medicare for all, but it's actually Medicare for none, because they end Medicare, Medicare Advantage, put all of our seniors on a government-run single-payer plan that they may not want to be on. If you get your insurance through your employer, you work hard, you're earning benefits, he would take that away from you. It would be illegal, and you would get dumped on this government plan whether you want it or not. And so I think if you're working hard to earn benefits, what right does the government have to take it away from you? Now, what he wants to do is high tax. It'll be massive tax increases. It'll bankrupt us. You're not going to have access to the doctor. So it's bad for health, bad for fiscal, but it's definitely bad for individual freedom. You know, we're not just guinea pigs in some Soros-funded social science experiment. You know, we actually have the ability to pursue these things how we want to. So with me as governor, you actually will be able to keep your plan. I think that's what you need to be able to do. In terms of the public safety, I mean, look, I'm happy to have all these great endorsements because I do believe we need to protect Florida's communities, and really unprecedented amount of support. There's the groups I didn't even know existed that are endorsing me for this. And I think I have a good record. Obviously, I've worked in law enforcement. It's important. But quite frankly, part of it is they look at my opponent and they're really worried because they see someone that's not a partner but is an adversary. And part of it is he's not been able to succeed in Tallahassee. I mean, they actually had the highest number of murders in the history of the city last year. They had the highest crime in Florida for several years. The guy running to him is an ally of his, and he's actually sending out flyers to voters saying Tallahassee had most murders in history, highest crime in Florida, we need change. Well, yeah, you do, because your mayor didn't do it. But he's also aligned himself with these radical anti-police groups, signed a pledge attacking law enforcement, saying that law enforcement and prisons have no place this and should be defunded. I mean, give me a break. Wants to abolish ICE, have open borders, and have sanctuary cities and a sanctuary state. I can tell you that going that direction will make our communities less safe. There's just no two ways about it, because safe communities don't happen by accident. It requires people being willing to put on the uniform, go out and protect and serve, meaning you may have to put yourself in harm's way to defend others. It requires us having good laws on the books so that when people are committing crimes, they're held accountable, they're not recycled back on the street where they can commit new crimes. It also requires elected officials to stand by the men and women of law enforcement, support them and support their mission, provide them resources they need to get the job done. As governor, I will do all of those things. That's not even a question. Gillum, when you are attacking the police, when you're aligned with Dream Defenders, when you have the highest murder rate in your city's history, when you have all these things, abolishing ICE, not cooperating with criminal aliens, that will be reflected in the safety of our communities. You will not have as much safety community. So with me as governor, we're not going to have any sanctuary cities, and Florida will not be a sanctuary state. Oh, it's interesting. I was thinking, someone told me with this whole Medicare for all, because you do lose, so many people lose. It's actually about 300 million people in the U.S. go on the single payer regardless of whether they want to. Private insurance, TRICARE for military, Medicare, all that stuff. The two things that are preserved is the VA and the Indian Health Service. And so that must mean Elizabeth Warren has a 1,000% chance of being able to do that. But that's a massive, massive change. And so don't let them fool you when they're talking about that. Final thing is this. It's important that the governor shares your values and has a vision for Florida. And obviously we have that. But you have to have the ability to lead and have the leadership to be able to get this stuff done. And so that's what I'll do. we've shown that throughout my life, putting country first in the military, putting victims first as a prosecutor, and then as in the Congress, I always put the taxpayer first. I didn't accept perks for myself. I declined benefits because I wanted to make sure we were saving you guys money. Obviously, Andrew Gillum has viewed office as a way to feather his own nest in a number of different ways, including voting to give himself tens of thousands of dollars of extra benefits, and of course getting all these illegal gifts from an undercover FBI agent, from a lobbyist, then doing the bidding of the lobbyist. They gave him a $2 million contract, so he's getting all these things, and then turns around and do it. That's not what we need. So as governor, I'm going to impanel a statewide grand jury to root out municipal corruption all across Florida. So here's where we're at. If everyone comes out to vote, we will win on Tuesday night. That's just the bottom line. So if you've already voted, that's great. But you got to work for us over the next little more than 24 hours. You know a neighbor, you got to get them to come out. Friends, co-workers, family members. And the thing is, this election does matter. I mean, it's going to have consequences. They all have consequences, but this one, I think, more than others, because of the radical differences, I will be building off the success Florida has. Gillum will take us in a direction that people like Bernie Sanders and all these people want to go in. It's not going to lead to success for our state. And you will see people just on their kitchen table will see a negative impact of that. So work hard for us over the next 24, 36, however many hours we have left. Take action, because by doing so, you'll be doing your part to protect Florida's future for tomorrow and generations to come. And it's very important. Power me to victory. I promise you, as governor, I will fight the good fight. I will finish the race, and I'll keep the faith on behalf of the people of this great state. Thank you, and God bless you. And now, thank you. And now, it's a privilege to have a special guest with us today, who's been flying all over the country to help all kind of different candidates. Someone that I've been able to get to know and become friends with, and she is a very, very effective advocate for Republican principles. So I give a good Pinellas County welcome to Lara Trump.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are one day from victory. How about that? This time tomorrow, we will almost be able to say Governor Ron DeSantis. How do you feel about that? So I have been all over the country campaigning for candidates up and down the ticket. And I think that you guys get it, right? Because let me ask you guys a question. How's our president doing? I thought so. Another question. Anybody here tired of winning yet? No! That's why we're winning again tomorrow. The hits just keep on coming, folks, right? So if you voted for Donald Trump in 2016, you better be voting tomorrow, and you better be voting for Republicans. Because we've all seen what's happened in 21 months of Donald Trump as our president, right? It's been incredible, hasn't it?
Trump, baby!
First of all, let's go back a minute. Do you guys remember Election Day 2016? Remember that day? First of all, I think CNN gave the president a 1% chance of winning, if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you!
1%. Very generous of them, isn't it? Well, you know what we call them. I won't say it here, but you guys know. And the president still won. But see, it's happening again. They didn't get it in 2016. They don't get it now. They probably won't get it in 2020 when we re-elect Donald Trump as our president. But that's all right. You know, his life probably would have been a lot easier if he had never run for president, right? I mean, he could be down here in Florida playing golf, enjoying Mar-a-Lago, it probably would have been a lot easier. Now, he doesn't get a salary. You guys know that. He donates his salary every quarter, right? He works despite the fact that everybody is out to get him in Hollywood, in the media, and from the Democrat side, right? But you know what? He loves it. Because Donald Trump is a fighter, and he is fighting for this country and for all of us. And they didn't get it in 2016, but this country needed a fighter. Because we all saw what was happening in this country. We all looked around and were really confused as to why there were so many people that had been left behind and forgotten about in this country. Why the factories and manufacturing jobs were leaving this country. You know, after Bill Clinton signed NAFTA, 70,000 factories left this country. But under President Donald Trump, they are all coming back. I saw them all over this country in 2016 when I traveled around. Beautiful factories that were full of life at one time with, you know, fences around them now, closed down, big empty parking lots. They're filling up again. I was just in West Virginia this week. The factories and the manufacturing jobs are coming back. We also have a president that cares about a level playing field in this country and in the world. How about that? Nobody's ripping this country off under President Donald Trump's watch, I'll tell you that much. We are the closest we've ever been to a denuclearized Korean peninsula, ladies and gentlemen. And every president before him promised they would do it. But it took President Trump, a man with what we'll call guts, to finally move the American embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. They all promised to do it. I don't know why they couldn't do it. Donald Trump did it. But I want you guys to remember something. Now, the president would like to be able to do it all by himself. We all know that, right? And he would if he could, but he can't. He has to have strong Republicans supporting him in Congress and all across this country. He has to have people like Ron DeSantis, like Marco Rubio, like Rick Scott, fighting for him alongside him. Because we've seen what they have to offer on the other side, haven't we? It's pretty bad, isn't it, folks? They're running on a platform of socialism, of anti-law enforcement, anti-ICE, and the latest thing is abolishing plastic straws, right? Anybody hear that? That's the latest. We are making a difference in people's lives in this country under President Donald Trump, and we have to keep that going. How did the tax cuts work out for everybody? Did everybody like those? Guess what? If Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer take control of things, tax cuts are gone. They're raising your taxes. President Donald Trump wants to give you an additional tax cut. How about that? And I know it's hard because we all hear the stuff that they say about him. They say it about all of us, right? But I want you guys to keep something in mind. The swamp is not drained overnight, ladies and gentlemen. The swamp is fighting tooth and nail to hold on to the old way of life. See, that's why they were so scared of Donald Trump in 2016, because they knew that he didn't need anything from anyone. He was in there because he wanted to fight for this country because he loves the United States of America. And he wasn't letting them get away with the old way, which was making promises, then going to Washington, D.C. and living the high life while their constituents didn't get anything done for them. That is all over under President Donald Trump, though. He is holding people accountable and he's saying, you better come to Washington, D.C. and you better do your job and it better benefit the people of this great country under President Donald Trump. So he's draining the swamp every single day. And I want you to remember, they don't try to stop you if you're a loser, but they do try to stop you if you're a winner. And Donald Trump is winning for the United States of America again, folks. So every election is important. I will say that. This may be the most important election, aside from electing Donald Trump into office, that we have ever had, folks. That is why it is so important. If you haven't voted, get out tomorrow and vote for Republicans. And don't stop there. Fill up your car with people, drive them to the polls, buy them a sandwich afterwards if you have to. Whatever you need to do, you've got to do, because we know We don't want to say Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, and y'all know Maxine Waters will be involved somehow. It can't happen. We have too much winning going on in this country to stop it. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the incredible support for Ron. Thank you for the incredible support for Rick Scott, for all the Republican candidates up and down the ticket that y'all are gonna go vote for tomorrow, if you haven't already. And thank you guys, because we feel the love in the Trump family. We feel all the love. And it's funny because I traveled everywhere in this country in 2016 and I knew that Donald Trump was gonna be our next president. And I'll tell you how I knew. Because everywhere I went, people came up to me and they would say, we're praying for you, we're praying for your father-in-law, we are praying that Donald Trump is the next president of the United States. God was in that election and he's in this one again, folks. We have to remember that. All right, I haven't slept in weeks. I haven't seen my 13-month-old son, my 2 dogs, or my husband and spent any time with them in I don't know how long. So I don't want anybody here resting, folks. Y'all get out there, knock doors, make calls, tweet, post on Facebook, tell people why they have to go vote tomorrow and vote for Republicans. Because if I'm not sleeping, then nobody here is sleeping either, folks, okay? So on behalf of our entire family, on behalf of the president, thank you guys for the great support. And thank you for voting for your next governor, Ron DeSantis. Thank you, guys.
USA! 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 USA!